The package arrived on the morning of our anniversary. Plain brown paper. No return label. Just my name written in handwriting I instantly recognized. My mother's. I froze at the front door, heart tightening in my chest. My mother had passed away almost 2 years earlier. There should have been no package, no handwriting, no explanation. Probably something she scheduled before, I whispered to myself, though even I didn't believe it. My husband Evan walked up behind me carrying coffee mugs. The moment he touched the box, his expression changed. "Riley," he said quietly, "don't open it." I laughed nervously. "What?" But he wasn't joking. His eyes stayed fixed on one corner of the package where a thin metallic wire barely peeked through the paper. Every sound in the room disappeared. The knife I'd been using to cut our anniversary cake slipped from my hand onto the floor. Evan backed away slowly. "Get outside," he whispered. Something in his voice terrified me more than the box itself. I ran barefoot into the street while Evan stayed behind, making a phone call. Not to emergency services, to someone else. I only caught fragments. "She opened it?" A pause. "Not yet." Then, "It looks real. Real." Within minutes, police cars flooded the neighborhood. Officers rushed us away from the house while specialists carefully removed the package. I sat trembling on the neighbor's lawn, wrapped in a blanket, while flashing lights painted the street blue and red. Hours later, an officer approached us. "There was an explosive device inside," he said carefully. "Homemade." My stomach dropped. But that wasn't the worst part. During their search of the house, investigators discovered another package hidden inside Evan's closet. Same paper, same handwriting, except this one was addressed from me to me. And inside were photographs, pictures of me sleeping, working, walking through the kitchen at night, dozens of them. Someone had been watching me for weeks. The timestamp on the latest photo was only 2 days old. I looked at Evan expecting shock, confusion, anger. Instead, I saw recognition. That was the moment fear became suspicion. The police questioned us separately for hours. Evan played the devastated husband perfectly. His voice shook. His hands trembled. He repeated how terrified he was for me. But something felt wrong. He never asked if I was okay. Never hugged me. Never even looked relieved that I was alive. Instead, he kept asking strange questions. "Did they take my laptop? Did you tell them about your mother's inheritance? Did they search my office?" My office, not ours, his. Suddenly memories started connecting in ways I didn't like. The locked office door, late-night work calls, the passwords he suddenly changed months earlier. That night, while Evan slept beside me, I quietly got out of bed. At 2 a.m., I unlocked his office using the spare key hidden under the hallway fire extinguisher. Inside, the air smelled stale and heavy. On his desk sat a folded blueprint of our living room. Certain areas were circled in red. Beside it was a receipt for a cash payment made to someone named Jace Morgan. My pulse thundered in my ears. I searched Evan's computer. At first, nothing. Then inside a deleted email folder, I found messages between Evan and Jace. Short messages, cold messages. One included a photo of me leaving the gym. Another simply read, "No loose ends." I stopped breathing. The room suddenly felt too small, too dark, too dangerous. The man I married wasn't protecting me. He was hiding something from me. The next morning, I drove straight to my best friend Callie's apartment. She opened the door, saw my face, and immediately said, "What happened?" I told her everything. The package, the photos, the emails, the blueprint. Callie listened silently until I mentioned the name Jace Morgan. Her face went pale. "I know that name," she whispered. She disappeared into her bedroom and returned holding her phone. "There was a man my cousin dated years ago," she said carefully, controlling, Dangerous. His name was Jace. She pulled up old screenshots, and then she showed me a photograph that shattered whatever hope I still had left. Evan and Jace, together at a bar years before I ever met my husband, laughing like old friends. My hands started shaking. Evan lied from the beginning. He knew Jace long before the package arrived. That night, I stayed at Callie's apartment. Sleep never came. Instead, I replayed every memory of my marriage through a different lens. The way Evan always insisted on handling our finances. The way he discouraged me from reconnecting with old friends. The moments he acted loving only when he thought he was losing control. Then I remembered something else. Our home security system. I had access to cloud backups Evan forgot about. With trembling hands, I downloaded footage from the previous month. At 3:14 a.m. on June 28th, Evan appeared on camera carrying a small box wrapped in brown paper. He placed it carefully inside the hallway closet. Then he paused, turned toward the camera, and smiled. Not nervous, not guilty, satisfied. I slammed the laptop shut, barely able to breathe. This wasn't confusion anymore. It wasn't misunderstanding. My husband had been planning something terrifying, and somehow it connected to my mother. The next morning, my phone buzzed. A text from Evan. "Come home, we need to talk." Then another. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Callie read the messages over my shoulder. "He knows," she whispered. Before we could leave for the police station, someone knocked on the door. Evan stood outside holding roses, the same flowers he gave me when he proposed. For one dangerous second, he looked exactly like the man I fell in love with. Then I saw it, the coldness behind his smile. Callie stepped in front of me. "You need to leave," she said firmly. Evan ignored her. "Riley," he said softly, "you're scared. I understand that. But you're letting paranoia destroy us." "Us?" I snapped. I saw the footage. For the first time, his expression flickered, only for a second. Then it vanished. "Footage can be edited," he replied calmly. Callie immediately lifted her phone. "I'm recording this conversation," she announced loudly. Evan's jaw tightened. "You really think this helps her?" he asked quietly. The charm disappeared from his voice. Now there was something colder underneath, something controlled, threatening. He looked directly at me. "You don't understand what's happening yet, Riley." Then he turned and walked away. But before getting into his car, he looked back and said, "You should have stopped digging." That sentence haunted me for days, because deep down I knew this story wasn't only about Evan, it was about my mother. Callie and I began searching through old boxes my mom left behind. Letters, documents, photos. And slowly, a hidden truth surfaced. Years earlier, my mother had exposed financial crimes tied to powerful people connected to a private security network. One name appeared repeatedly: Jace Morgan. Suddenly, everything made sense. The surveillance, the threats, the fear. My mother hadn't just died unexpectedly. She had spent years trying to protect me from something dangerous. And somehow, Evan became part of it. The realization nearly broke me, but it also changed me. For weeks, I had been afraid, running, crying, questioning my own instincts. Not anymore. I finally understood something important. Fear survives in silence. Truth destroys it. So I made a decision. I called Evan and agreed to meet him one last time, not alone. The police already had copies of the emails, footage, and payment records. Callie stayed nearby while investigators monitored everything. When Evan arrived, he looked exhausted, older somehow, like the mask he wore for years was finally slipping. "You don't understand," he said quietly. "I never wanted things to go this far." "Then why did you lie?" I asked. He didn't answer, because there was no answer big enough, no explanation powerful enough to erase betrayal. Minutes later, officers stepped forward. Evan realized immediately. The confidence disappeared from his face. For the first time since this nightmare began, I saw fear in his eyes instead of mine. As they escorted him away, I stood there trembling beneath the evening sky. Not because I felt weak, because I finally felt free. Months later, I moved into a small apartment near the ocean. Quiet mornings, fresh air, no locked doors, no fear hiding inside ordinary moments. Sometimes healing doesn't arrive all at once. Sometimes it begins the moment you finally stop doubting yourself. I still keep one photograph of my mother beside my window, not to remember the fear, but to remember her strength. Because in the end, this story wasn't about betrayal. It was about survival, about trusting your instincts, about discovering that even after heartbreak, fear, and loss, you can rebuild your life stronger than before. And maybe that's the hardest kind of courage there is.